I'm CK. I've got another little project in mind for the workshop here, and for that I needed another Eurorack power supply, and I wanted something kind of small, so I ordered a FC Power from Frequency Central. To do that, we've done lots of Frequency Central kits, as you know, and I use Frequency Central Route Masters on my test racks that you see when I'm running a testing a module after building it. So we'll put this together, see how it looks, and see how it puts power out. And in a couple of weeks you'll see where I'm going to be using it. Hope you enjoy the video. Frequency Central, again, you've seen me build a number of their kits, and it's picked it up from Thonk. Let's open the circuit board package first, because actually when I first ordered this they didn't include the circuit board, so they had to send that separately. And here it is. Fit heatsink to regulators before soldering. Yes, you're right. And all the resistors are 1K quarter watt. Interesting. And all the values of the components are listed on the board, so we don't need a build guide for this one. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 47 microfarad, 4700 microfarad capacitors to really smooth out that AC power. So there's the diodes coming in, and then we've got the two regulators here, a couple of LEDs. Now one thing I don't see a trimmer. And it looks like you can, I'm looking to see where these traces go. Yeah, if you don't want to use the socket, you could run wires directly into these, but 12 volt AC, I have enough of those power supplies around. That'll be fine for me. And again, the board is typical good quality. Now since it's a power board, you see the traces are very wide and they're not running close to each other in any area, which is nice. So the power will be real clean. We've got a variety of things. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't see a trimmer to adjust the voltage. And there's a regulator here. I bet that's a 5 volt reg. But we'll see. I think these are the two 12 volt regulators, and I think that's the plus 5 volt regulator. We'll see. We'll look at the part numbers when we get them. Yeah, because these are 78112s. So these are the 12 volters, a bunch of diodes, some resistors, 3 LEDs, power connector, the pin header that will actually go on here for projects for whatever module you're running to connect to. As you can tell, it is not shrouded. I have a spare shrouded one around somewhere. I may use that instead. In here we've got 1 microfarad caps. Now we're going to be careful with these 4700s because they may, you never know with caps, and when you get above 1000 microfarad you don't want to touch the leads with your fingers before grounding it, just because it could still have a charge from something else, or it could pick up an atmospheric charge, which is generally not enough to hurt, but it can startle you, so I'll just ground all these out. Big beefy heat sinks. The key thing on these regulator chips, they can run a lot of current, but they're also current limited by how much heat they're dissipating. So the more heat you can dissipate, the more current they can handle. And these are big and beefy. That's going to cover anything I'm going to have in a Eurorack rack. So we got 2 of those. Got some wire. And here's the other reg. Yeah, this is an LO5, so this is 5-volt regulation. And a couple of more caps, a couple of screws, and a panel nut for this connector, which I'll put on there for safekeeping. And I don't know why they're screws, I guess to mount it on something. So as you can see, it's a pretty straightforward build. Not doing anything to, oh, I know what that's for. Those 2 screws are to mount the regulators on the heat sinks. So it's a pretty straightforward build, not going to take long to do it. So we'll get the soldering iron fired up and put it together. So first we'll put all the diodes on. Now we'll put the couple of few resistors, 3 of them. So that's that. Now I'm gonna put the LEDs on now. Just because we're at this end of the board and I don't want to put the caps on right at this second. So this will be power on the "12-volt rail, 5-volt rail, and the plus 12-volt and minus 12-volt rails. That's what I meant to say. Plus the 5-volt rail. Now I'll put the 100 microfarad caps in there too while I'm in the area. May as well. Just looking at this, why do they give me 2 1 microfarads? I don't see where they would go. And there's only 2 of, oh, there they are. They go over here. We'll put all the small caps on. And now we'll put the voltage regulator, 12-volt voltage regulators on. And we are going to, as the circuit board says, put the heat sinks on before you put the reg in the board. Primarily so you don't put the voltage regulator in there and then try and line up the heatsink, and it might not fit, number one. And number two, as you can see, because the capacitors, I already put the capacitors on, I can't screw the screw in. If you hadn't put the capacitors on, then yeah, you could probably have done that. But the main thing is, you don't want this soldered down and then try and put the heatsink on. If you haven't got the hole alignment quite right, you'll be frustrated, you'll be breaking things and swearing and all kinds of stuff. So I'll take some of my thermal compound, not a lot, A little bit of this stuff goes a long way. And also it's very messy. So we'll get that right there, rub it around a little bit to get it all underneath. Now we'll take one of those little screws we have over here. And screw this down. And I'm going to screw it down tightly and just get the legs at the right 90-degree angle. And take a little bit of paper towel and get this excess thermal paste off, because it is indeed nasty. Now if you look on the circuit board for the regulator, there's a box inside the box, and the small box is where the heatsink aluminum goes. We'll do the same thing with the other one. Oh, and I found my solder, it's in there. Again, some thermal paste. Yeah, get one of these little tubes of thermal paste from Mauser, Amazon, eBay, whatever. And don't look at the cost and say, gosh, that costs a lot, because as you can see, a little bit goes, as I said, a little bit goes a long way. So what may seem like a pricey product really isn't that pricey, because you use so little of it each time. Now we'll put the 5-volt regulator on. And now put the header on. And I was going to go get a shrouded header from my stock, but I realized I'm never going to be, for what I'm going to be using this for, I'm never going to disconnect it, or I'm going to disconnect it so infrequently that I don't have to worry about, I don't have to be too paranoid about making sure I'm not getting the keying right. And of course it's only power, so these 4 pins don't have anything connected to them because they're for signal, not power. What was I going to do next? I'm going to take the 2 pieces of wire they included and put it on the board so I can put that connector on it. And you may see me pause a little bit on some of the bigger leads, like on those caps and on those 2 wires. It's because I'm waiting for the solder in the wire to really heat up, so the solder wicks all the way down into that plated hole, because then it's a much better connection. And for the power leads, I want as much of a connection as I can get. Now we'll, just for fun, so you can see if you get a power connector that you don't know what's going on with it, you can figure it out. I'm in continuity mode. I'm going to touch the center pin and say, okay, what are you connected to? Are you connected to this? Nope. This? Nope. Yes. This? No. This. Center pin is connected to this lug. And then you can see maybe see the little flat spot where the outer one goes, and that goes either there or, oh no, oh, I slipped off it, that's why. There or there. So pick which one you want, doesn't much matter. And again, since this is AC coming in, we don't have a polarity issue here. Okay, let's get this thing fired up and see how it goes. Let's go ahead and plug the power in using the one I'm going to use. Got 3 LEDs, that's good. Got my probe, and here is ground, and here should be -12 and -12.13. That's great. Switch hands, ground, and let's go to the +12 rail. +12, 1.4, 12.14 for crying out loud. Now the +5, and that's 499. So that all works, and that's very good. So this is ready for use, and again, it's going to be on into another project I have coming up, so stay tuned for that. And I hope you enjoyed the video.